some things that many of us might even wonder how on earth anyone could ever survive that, let alone love life again. But most importantly, they're stories of hope. They're not stories of people who've been through a really bad trauma and that's the end of their story and they're still, stuck in that pit of darkness. These are people who have made it out the other side, or they're still living day to day with parts of their trauma. They might still be living with anxiety, they might still be living with PTSD, but they are choosing every day to get back up and give it another shot that day and do it again the next day and the next day, because we know that the more we take those steps forward, we are eventually going to find that light at the end of the tunnel, and we will eventually find our love for life again. And for me, it's been really important in my book series to work with people, as I said, who not only have overcome some of these things, but still live with them. Because like I said, mental health is an everyday journey. If we don't look after it, just like our physical health, it comes into, we start to struggle. I know that myself, having had my first child almost 2.5 years ago, when I came here last year, I was so sleep deprived and I was hating life, and it was so difficult to get up here and try and speak coherently. But I knew that eventually these sleepless nights were going to pass. Eventually I would my brain wouldn't be so mushy anymore, and things would get better. It just takes time. And so, I feel very blessed to have the job that I have, where I work as a writing coach for people who have transformational stories. Some of them are people who are people of faith or Christian. Other people, they're not religious in any way. And I think that's what's so powerful about the books, is that they can, people who pick them up can relate to any part of a story in there. They might really gravitate to one particular story, but there's something in every story that they will be able to get something from. The people that I work with, we've all become sort of like a tribe and a team, and a lot of these people who started out as my writing clients are now really good friends, and they often come with me to events, and I'll invite them to come up and share their stories. And I think that's where the real power is when we bring communities together like this, and we break down that stigma and shame and really talk openly about what we're going through, because I know that each of you in this audience today have your own story, and you've all been through something, and maybe you feel that what you've been through is not really that big a deal compared to someone else. But I want to say to you that the things that we go through in our lives, no matter how trivial you might think they are, they matter. Like, it's not a competition in terms of, whether what you've gone through is worse or less worse than someone else. If it's affected you, then it matters. And I've been speaking a lot to people lately about the need for people to understand that regardless of whether you are a person of faith or not, there is no shame in seeking professional help. There's a t-shirt I saw recently that's just fantastic, and it says, it's okay to talk to Jesus and your therapist. And I think it's important for people to know that it's great to have a community that you're part of, or a church family that you feel really connected to. But if you're struggling, there's absolutely no help, no shame in getting external help for that from someone who's trained specifically to help you. And another thing I just want to share is that sometimes people will have a bad experience with, a mental health professional, and I have had that myself. And I just want to remind you that you think about if you take your car to a certain mechanic and they do a bad job, you don't just go, oh, well, I'm just going to leave my car here to rust away and die. You take it somewhere else, someone who knows what they're doing. And it's the same thing with our mental health. If you go and see someone and they're not able to help you or give you the support you need, then please don't give up. Please go to someone else and try someone else. And please keep going until you get the support that you need, because we are all human, we're not robots, so we all need help along the way. And it's just so important for us to take that step of bravery and be vulnerable and go to someone that we know will give us the support we need. So I want to thank you all for coming here today and making the time to come here, especially on such a beautiful sunny day when I know you could be out walking by the bay or anything like that. Before I finish my talk, there's three little messages of hope that I usually like to share, and in terms of simple things that you can do for yourself or for a loved one if you're struggling. One of the first things, most important things I say to people is that if you have a loved one who's struggling, sometimes it's really hard not to try and fix them. Like, that's part of our innate nature. We want to fix the problem, or we want them to just get better, or we want to say the right thing. And sometimes we get really scared about saying the wrong thing. But in actual fact, it's more important to sit there and be with the person and listen. Sometimes you don't actually need to say anything. Sometimes it can be as simple as going for a walk with that person, or coming over and helping them with some jobs around the house while they sit and have a rest, or they go for a walk. It's more important that the people around us that we love know that we are there for them, as opposed to expecting us to know how to fix their problem or say the right thing. A second thing, as I touched on before, is that there is no shame in seeking that external support for yourself or for a loved one. It can help so much with the healing journey. And thirdly, for me and everyone that I've ever talked to in any of my books or anywhere in the community, I've found that when you're struggling, especially with things like depression, finding a way to help someone else is a huge part of people's healing journey. When I struggle with depression or anxiety, it's really hard not to get tunnel visioned, and I say this and I don't mean any disrespect by it, but depression can become a very, it can cause you to become very self-centered, because all you can focus on and see is your pain, and that's understandable. But when you can go out and do something for someone else, whether it's volunteering, if you're helping at your church, or you're helping at a local animal shelter, or whatever it is, something that you feel really passionate about, that you know you're giving back and helping someone else and making a difference. I've found that it doesn't matter if I'm speaking to an everyday person in the community or someone who, is very high profile. They find that helping and giving back can really, really help you with not only shifting those, awful self-limiting mindsets that tell you that you're worth nothing and you've got nothing to give to the world, but they give you a sense of purpose, and most importantly, they make a difference in someone else's life, and that's quite priceless. So those are just three little things that I like to share that you can take away and hopefully apply to your own life or to the lives of someone else.